Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Pick Up the Mic, Harvest Church's only official podcast, at least for now. I'm Mike Greiner, lead pastor at Harvest, and with me is, as always, Top Shelf Will Land, our executive pastor.
For now?
For now? What do you mean for now? Are you quitting?
I don't know. Lord willing, tomorrow too.
No. He's going to stay for a long time. That was the deal. You haven't signed anything in blood yet?
No.
Well, I'm going to get you to sign in blood. And if you don't, if you leave before time, I think you have to give me your house or something.
Okay. Well, I don't intend to leave, but you know.
Okay. Well, unless God kills you. If he kills you, that's between you and him.
Right.
But also, we have a special guest with us today. You want to introduce him?
Yeah, I do.
And he's friends of both of us, but Will has known him most recently. He's an old friend to me, but to Will, he's gotten to know him over the last 4 years. So go ahead.
Yeah. So with us today is the illustrious Don Bowers.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. And
Glad to be here.
If you want to fight with me on this next comment, feel free, but you're going to have to defend yourself. I want to say Don is our number one podcast fan. I get more frequent feedback, attaboys, questions via text, email, and at church than anyone else from Don.
I like listening.
He was wondering if we liked him. He says, "You never talk to me. I got to go to a podcast to get you to talk to me." Actually, Don Bauer has been a member of our church since our Freeport campus began, right?
No, before that.
Before that, did you switch to the Freeport campus because of where it was located?
Because you said to go there. You said, "Hey, come on, some of your people, go down there and increase the population." So I went.
You must like it there.
I did. I really liked Freeport. It was a great time there. A lot of great people.
Now we're the Natrona Heights campus.
Yeah. And that's how I know Don, is ever since I started at Freeport. It's a very small campus, so Don and I have known each other through attending Freeport, what is now Natrona Heights campus.
If you sit there, all our leaders have a way of going through there. Mike Harvey was pastor there when you were there.
Yes.
And my son actually led worship for a while with his wife when I was there. And I attended there. I took like a 3-month sabbatical for stress reasons. And if you weren't here then, I'm not going to explain it now, but if you were, you remember that. And that was my home church because it was on the road I live on. Yeah. I just had to drive about 7 miles down the road or 6. And I used to hang out at church with Don and listen to sermons on the screen just like he did.
Yep.
And so what's he do? What are you doing here, Don?
Well, I don't know yet. I'm just hanging out and trying to figure out what you want to do with me. I know I'm old, okay?
Yes.
And I know you keep saying over 70. You're living on some borrowed time.
It's wintertime. I'm glad you're here because finally there's someone older than me in here. I was always young in my mind, and now I'm always the oldest guy in the room. So we brought in Don so I could be young again, and I feel great, Don. No, actually, though, I do want to give Don gets this.
Thank you.
It's an official Harvest made in America, heavy-duty ceramic mug.
It is heavy-duty.
And it's my way of saying thank you for coming here.
Well, thank you.
And I appreciate that. Or you can give it to your wife. She can steal it and take it for her.
It. This is a manly cup.
I think it's manly.
Okay.
But if she takes it, wives are. But the reason Don is here is I was talking with Will, and we're always on the lookout. We would make more podcasts if we could. We have logistical issues and resource issues and time issues, but we love the ability to talk to our own church and even introduce you. By now, hopefully, you've seen Justin Morelli's podcast and Pina's podcast. We love the idea of being able to just hear the story and what God has done in the lives of people in our own church, in our own midst. And Will was saying, man, I'm getting really to know what God's done in Don's life, and I really want to get him on the podcast. So I said, well, why wait? And that's why he's here. We want to get to know you a little bit.
Okay.
All right. So let's begin.
Yeah.
Let's begin. You born and raised here in Pennsylvania?
I was born in New Kensington and stayed there until I was 20 years old.
So what was New Ken like when you were growing up?
That was like the glory days.
The old days, the New Ken we never knew.
Yeah, that was a town. There was no crime because the mob kept it down.
Really? It was a mobster town.
It was.
A lot of Italians?
It was a lot of Italians, but there was a
You were
pretty
the
key
German.
person living there.
Who's that?
Manarino, Sammy Manarino.
Was he a gangster? I don't even know the
Oh
name.
yeah. I mean, he was the one that had Sinatra at
Okay,
his
wait a
daughter's
minute.
wedding.
Wait a minute. Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay, wait a minute. So he was this guy.
he was that guy.
All right. Let's see what Donnie has for us today. Ready? Got this mic ready?
A man who doesn't spend time with his family can never be a real man.
There you go. A man who doesn't spend time with his family can never be a real man. Thank you, Don Corleone.
Exactly.
Well, that's really something.
So I lived there until I was 20 years old, and then I had a girlfriend.
So was the town like, do you have any open fields and was it all built up? Like
No,
it
the
is?
town was pretty much built up, and the town was like going to New York City. We had the sidewalks that you couldn't walk down the sidewalk without bumping into somebody.
Yeah.
Cars all over the place. I mean, it was something else, and you couldn't buy better clothing than going to New York City because it came from there, and it was just a town that you couldn't believe. It was a safe town at that time.
Why were your parents there?
Work. My father worked at General Electric. General Electric had a plant there.
Were they making appliances and whatnot?
No, they were making pipe.
Okay. And your dad did that?
My dad was a pipe threader
Okay.
for a lot of years, and then he moved up to the office, and I think he was in transportation.
Okay. And your mom was a good old-fashioned housewife?
My mother worked 2 jobs.
2 jobs to make ends meet.
because my dad did a lot of drinking, and my mother had to work the 2 jobs just to keep us in clothes.
How many kids were there?
4.
You the oldest?
No, I'm the youngest boy.
You were the baby?
There are 3 boys and a girl.
Girl's the baby.
Girl's a baby. Yep.
So how did you know your dad was a drunkard? How old were you when you figured that out?
Well, I really didn't see it growing up because I think that I was my father's favorite for whatever reason. I think it was because I was sick a lot when I was a kid. I was in an actual iron lung 3 times.
Oh, really?
And I had rheumatic fever, kept me out of school for a
Have
year.
you ever seen those, Will?
Never.
Oh, my goodness. Can you pull up a picture cruiser at some time and tell us when you have it? Look up old-fashioned iron lung. And then when you have it, let's throw that on the screen, let Will and everybody else see it. Keep going.
Yeah, I mean, I went there, and I think my father, because of that, liked me more than my 2 brothers and my sister. I don't know what happened with my sister, but he always wanted a girl, and when he had a girl, he called her Mortimer Snerd. So I don't know where that came from.
Mortimer Snerd, yeah, you do.
Yeah, I know where Mortimer Snerd came from.
Well, you're
but
going to have to tell Will. He has no idea, I guarantee you.
why'd
And
my
Cruiser.
dad call my sister Mortimer Snerd?
So Mortimer Snerd
No idea. You are correct.
was a character of what's the dude's name?
I can't remember.
His daughter was Murphy Brown. Who
Yeah.
played Murphy Brown? Doggone it. I'm gonna look it up. So go ahead.
You're all way over my head.
No, I know.
He was an ugly dummy, to say the least.
And that's what he called his daughter.
Yeah.
Your sister.
Yeah, I don't know why. you know?
Well, he was Mortimer the dumb one or the guy with the monocle?
No, I think Mortimer
Candace
was.
Bergen. It was Bergen.
Yeah.
What was Bergen's first name? He had 2 puppets, and he was on early television. Very famous show.
That was in the 50s.
There were very few, and I didn't see it obviously, but I was born in the '60s, so my parents knew it, and the reruns were on, and I'd see it. It was more. He had 2 puppets he liked. One was Mortimer Snerd,
And that was a goofy one.
and that was the Google. So it wouldn't be nice to call your daughter that.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't very
Did
nice.
you find that iron lung?
Now, my sister's going to listen to this. You know that.
Well, I didn't say that. I didn't say that about her.
And we don't have to
Your
tell
dad
people-
said that.
We don't have to tell people who she is either.
Well, do you tell her I thought she was a Barbie doll?
Okay. I'll let her know.
And I don't even know her.
You know, coming back to my sister, she was dating Bradshaw.
Terry.
Did she?
Yeah.
No way.
She dated Terry Bradshaw.
Oh,
I went
right.
to my house. I came home from Connecticut, and I went to my
Edgar
house.
Bergen. Just came to me.
Yeah.
Edgar. Go on.
Went to my house and went in there, and there's these 2 big guys in there. And I didn't know who they were because I was living in Connecticut. I didn't watch football. I just didn't know who they were. It was Hanratty and Bradshaw.
No kidding.
Yeah. Now, my sister worked at a radio station downtown New Ken,
Wow.
And they would come down there every Thursday or something and do this show.
Cool.
So she dated him.
That's good. And then she kicked him to the curb.
Yeah, I think. Well, I think
He
it was the
probably
other way
needed to
around.
be
But
kicked to the. Well,
he
you don't
did.
know that.
He did. At that time, he did.
Yeah. So
There's
Here
a
we
lung.
go.
there it is. That's an iron lung.
Yeah, I spent some time in one of those.
That and the idea was to take the pressure off your lungs so you could breathe, right?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
had pneumonia 3 times, and they put me in there.
Yeah, I was talking to them earlier. I used to have a lot of lung problems as a kid. They thought I had a lifetime asthma, but I didn't. I had some sort of childhood broncho problem that went away after puberty. And, you feel like you're breathing through a straw and whatnot. But that was the solution in the old days. That picture's amazing.
Yeah.
It's just like a big vacuum chamber. How long do you have to stay in there? Like weeks?
I don't remember. I was too young.
Wow.
I was very young when I was
Makes
in
me
it. Less than
claustrophobic.
6.
Oh, I guarantee when they came out with it, they said, that thing's awesome. It helps you live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched a movie about that, about the invention of the iron lung. The guy that invented it, I can't remember who it was.
Hey, I'm sure it was cool to have it.
So your pops likes you the best.
Yeah,
So he's easy on you because you're the sick runt
I
of
was.
the bunch.
I was.
Not to put that on you.
Well,
That's what it sounds
you're
like.
just making all the siblings look bad. And your older brothers were stupid. And you're just keep going.
My oldest brother never made below an E. I'm sorry, never made below an A when he was in school until he got to 11th grade. And then he got in with the crazy crowd. My brother was supposed to be a Christian, but he went away from it. When he left the house, he went away from it. And he became an agnostic. And that's where I don't know what happens to your Christianity if something like that happens.
Well, I am certain that if you have had the experience of being born again, regenerated, the Bible says, Jesus says, John 3:3, a man must be born again. And Ephesians 2 says, you were dead in your trespasses, you've been made alive. And if you've been, John 1:12, adopted as God's son, as many as received him, that experience is the one we can't figure out in another person's life.
That's right.
You may acknowledge Christianity, you may like Christianity, you may follow it. I have a brother in who used to live in California. For a while, he was into this cultish kind of belief called est. I don't know if you ever heard. Don't worry about it. It's EST. Well, he's not that now. And I think a lot of people move in and out of Christianity that way. They like the idea and they don't like the idea. But I think if you're truly born again, even if you wander away, you're not getting away. But it's hard to know. Did you grow up with? Did your mother take you to church or?
Oh yeah, my mother took us to church every Sunday. We had to go.
Lutherans?
No,
You're Germans.
No, it was
though.
Baptist.
Germans in a Baptist church.
Yeah.
They're normally Catholic or Lutheran.
Well, no, we went. It was my mother because of my mother's family, Timlin. Were Baptist, and they went to the First Baptist
Now, is
Church.
Timlin Irish?
Timlin is Welsh, Irish, and German.
Okay.
But anyway, they
Now, those
went,
things don't, I just want to jump in and comment. Those things don't matter as much now because everyone's all mixed up and nobody is true. But it was definitely true in your day and definitely true in my grandparents' day, which is who we're talking about, his mother's age.
And I'm sure in New Kent it mattered a lot.
Yeah, you Germans and Italians. Italians all went to Catholic. Germans were either
Polish.
Catholic or
Whether you were
Lutheran.
Polak or not.
Polish,
whatever.
Russians went to the Orthodox.
Yep.
Ukrainians went to Orthodox. And so, yeah.
my father's family went to Lutheran.
Okay.
His
Good.
sister. So
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah.
The northern Germans more likely to be Catholic, I think, or something like that. Oh, I could have that backwards. I don't know. But anyway, go on.
So you went to a Baptist church even at a young age.
I did. I went to the First Baptist Church in New Kensington until I was probably about eight or 9 years old, and then my mother's family and another family, Bowser's, split from the church from the First Baptist Church, and opened Maranatha Bible Church in Valley Heights, still in New Kensington, and that's where I went until I left town.
Now, is that a charismatic church?
No,
That's a charismatic sounding name.
independent fundamentalist.
Oh, So you
The opposite.
No playing cards, no going to movies. No, that's
Nope.
tough.
It was so strict. It was ridiculous strict.
And did you think it was ridiculous at the time?
Not when I was young, but when I was getting older, in my teens, I said, "Come on, enough of this. It's too strict. Can't go to a movie.
Yeah.
You can't go to a dance." So I was still there and still believed. The only problem is nobody ever really taught me to read the Bible. And I don't understand that. It was a King James version of the Bible. And being a kid, you try to read that.
Mm-hmm.
And you're saying, I can't understand
You can
this.
get used to it, but it takes time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you'd think Baptists would have taught you.
I agree. We only had, well, that was afterwards. But anyway, I moved to Connecticut. And as soon as I moved there, 2 weeks after, I got drafted.
What age?
I was 20 years old.
Why'd you go to Connecticut?
My ex-wife's family moved there, and I loved my ex-wife's father.
Wait, you were 20?
20.
You already had an ex-wife?
No, I didn't have an ex-wife yet. That's who caused me to move there.
Oh, you got married
Yes.
and then moved there.
No.
Oh,
You
you
were-
Moved there.
He was
Got a
still
job.
courting her.
I was courting her. She was here.
Oh.
She was going to college here.
I see.
I was in Connecticut because her father told me that there was jobs up there.
I see.
Went for a job interview, 5 of them, and got 4 offers.
Well, that is pretty good.
And they were paying pretty well. So I worked at Pratt & Whitney Aircraft.
Sounds
Pratt
like
Whitney.
Trump days.
Yeah.
Pratt and Whitney is awesome. And then,
Yeah.
and you were trying to make nice with hopefully future father-in-law.
I didn't have to make nice with him.
He liked
He
you.
was just a great guy.
Awesome.
If you'd want to choose a father, I'd choose him. He was just a great guy. But anyway, I went there, got drafted, and there I was.
And you got drafted into the United States Army.
I did.
You're in the Army now. You're not behind a plow.
So
You
what-
never get rich, you poor son of a motherless goat. You're in the Army now.
What year is this?
1967.
1967, I was 3. I would turn 4 that year. I think my dad, if you're watching this, where were you in 67? I think he was in Da Nang.
Yeah, he's in Vietnam. Right?
Yeah, he was airborne infantry.
Yeah.
And
All the way.
all the way. That's right. In fact, it was funny when we'd pray before dinner when my parents were still together. We did the Catholic prayer. Bless us, O Lord, for these gifts which we're about to receive from our bountiful hands, Christ our Lord, amen. And then my dad taught us to say, airborne all the way at the end of that. So,
I like that.
yeah, I pretty much grew up in Fort Benning, my formative years, because of that. That's where the jump school is. So what did you do? Where did they put you?
Well, here's a story about that. When I was young, going to high school, I wasn't allowed to play any high school sports.
Because of the fundamentalist stuff?
No, because I had a heart murmur.
Oh.
And they wouldn't let me play. My
But
doctor
the
wouldn't let
Army
me
took
play.
you. The doctor wouldn't let you play basketball, but the Army took you.
So here I am. I'm at the federal building in Pittsburgh, and I'm in line, and they're doing all these checks, and the guy comes along, and he goes, "Next." And I said, wait a minute. I have a heart murmur. He said, "Next." That was it.
Oh, man.
So when I
So
get
the
it,
check was to put the thing on your hair and
yeah,
listen.
listening to me.
He's got a heart.
Yeah.
Sign him up.
Get him out of here.
That must have been at the bad days of Vietnam.
They put me in infantry, so I'm not allowed to play football,
But you can be in the infantry.
but I can be in
Those
infantry.
are the guys who carry the packs and run in the jungles.
We did that.
Oh, man. So where did you train?
I trained in Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Oh. Then I went to Fort.
I lived right by there when I went to seminary. Met a lot of the chaplains are trained at the seminary I went to.
Really?
Yeah, they'll station at Fort Jackson and train at our seminary, Columbia, South Carolina.
Well, they took me into Fort Puke, Louisiana. After that,
Is that what's called Fort Puke?
it's called Fort Polk,
Okay, is that what
Louisiana.
you guys called it?
And yeah, we called it Fort Puke. And when we went in there was a sign over the door or over the gates that said, "Welcome to the home training for the Vietnam."
Oh, man.
So you knew where you were going to go.
Right.
You're
You're
going
in
to
the swamps.
Vietnam.
They're sending you to the swamps of America to prepare.
And that was a terrible place.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Louisiana?
was hot. Yeah. It was hot. It was sandy. It was nasty. They had bugs and snakes, spiders and everything.
full of French people. No,
No, they probably didn't. They didn't let them go out and enjoy.
No, we'd shoot them.
No, it's just the French. So, did you made it to Vietnam?
I did.
What year did you go over?
67.
You want to tell us about that? The same year you signed up, they got you over that fast?
I didn't sign up.
It was
They
the same
signed me
year,
up.
right? Gotcha.
Drafted.
The same year you got drafted, they got you over in the same
Oh,
calendar
yeah.
year.
After, what was it, 5 months?
wow.
5 months of training? 6 months of training?
Off the street, 5 months
Yeah.
in the jungle.
We go, and they give you a gun.
I mean, here's your gun. Get over there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so went over there.
Before we go there, what I'm curious too about, like, how's your Christian walk at this point, right? So, like, you raised in the Christian household. Do you feel like, when do you think you made your faith your own? Were you going to Vietnam, like, as a believer, or not yet?
Well, yeah, I was saved when I was 14 years old. I went to camp, at a Bible camp, and I talked to a brother. They call him Brother Paul, and he talked to me, and I felt God. I felt Jesus come into my heart, and I said, "This is it."
At camp.
At camp, yeah. I'm 14 years old now. Right before that, though, my father was killed in a car wreck. So I was 14 years old when he died, and he was only 41 years old. So that leaves my mother with 3 kids at home.
Was he driving drunk?
No, he wasn't driving. My father drove himself, never had an accident. If he would be drunk, he wouldn't get in the car and turn the key on. He'd go back in the back seat and fall asleep. So this was his boss coming back from Pittsburgh from a transportation meeting.
How ironic is that?
Yeah.
A transportation meeting.
Yeah. And they ran into a telephone pole in Cheswick.
No way. Almost home.
And my father's father, same deal, was killed in a car wreck with his boss driving a car at 41 years old.
Spooky.
Well,
Now-
you just never get in the car with your boss, at least not until you're 42.
Well, we all did that. You know, my oldest brother, he's worried. You know, I'm coming up on that 41 number.
Who's driving? Me.
My
I'm
grandmother-
driving for the next year.
My grandmother, my father's mother, said, "You're all going to die before you're 41 years old."
Oh, great.
Oh, thank you, Granny.
She was a positive
Love
woman,
you.
wasn't she? And a curse, the evil eye. Yeah. So your faith was intact when you went to Vietnam, would you say?
No, I wouldn't say that. I think I lost. I was a backslider, but I always prayed, always wanted to be close to God because I know what God can do for you. You know, there's things that I did when I was in Vietnam that I know that I was saved. Prayers that I sent out, you know, it's like it's a terrible place. I can guarantee you that. Nobody wants to go there under those conditions.
Right.
Now, Vietnam's a beautiful country, but not when
Not in a war.
when you're shooting at each other.
Yeah.
So I would pray to God. I'd say, Lord, this is like what's his name? Bill Cosby. Mm-hmm. When he made a record, and this is before all this other stuff came out about
Yeah.
him. But he did this album, and he said it's like you're on a bed, and you want to get out of bed, but everybody tells you, your mother and dad tell you, there's snakes under the bed, so you don't get up at night. So he would put his foot down and said, "Snake, just give me a snaky lick." So I'm in Vietnam, and I'm saying, God, just give me a snaky lick. Get me out of this place. No. But he gave me more than a snaky lick.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
But that's okay.
So when you say you backslid, was that more in your teenage years then? Because 14 to 20,
You haven't got a lot of
that's
time
not a lot of time, right?
No.
to set the world on fire. But
It
it is
wasn't.
very formative times where most of us do a lot of stupid things. I know I
Yes.
did.
Yes.
And it was right there.
Yep.
That was my window of stupid.
Mine lasted a little longer, but certainly began. in
Well,
that
I was
window.
stupid for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And the guy that really pulled me out of this was Pastor Michael.
Harvey.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
let's go
It wasn't till
chronological.
then.
We got to get there.
Okay, let's hold off on that. We want to
All
hear
right.
that.
That's awesome.
That's good. This is like foreshadowing.
Yeah.
It's like we're writing a novel. Hang in there, guys.
We're building this.
This is building up. Dun, dun, dun. So I want to hear about Vietnam, though. What did you do? Were you airborne?
No.
So you didn't have to-
I volunteered for airborne. They wouldn't let me go.
They found out about that heart murmur.
Heart murmur. Because send them over there to be bullet catcher.
They wanted me. They wanted me in Vietnam too fast or whatever. I don't know why.
That was probably it right there.
I don't. Yeah, there's a lot of people
training
going there.
school. It was like it would delay your time.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you'd have to go to jump school.
That's like another 6 weeks or whatever it was.
And in fact, so the things that were normal to me as a kid, externally like that, I wish I could have appreciated, because now I would love to see it. But they had the big towers. The was it Six Flags over Atlanta, Six Flags over Georgia would later copy that, I think in the 80s, and make a ride where you pull up and you drop a parachute and then go straight down. But they had those towers. I grew up, I'd go to school, look up, there they were, big red, I think they were red and white. They'd drag people up and drop them down, and I always had the Chinooks and the Hueys flying above me, which is the Chinooks, the big fat helicopter, and the Hueys were the little helicopters. And they trained right there. But didn't you end up, you didn't have to get out of a helicopter to get to the battle, or they just drove you up? How'd you get into the jungle?
No. You get in the helicopter, you get in the Hueys.
So that's the same thing, because what I heard was, and I don't know, my dad could tell me more, but they teach you to fall from high places, but those helicopters come and just put you right in the ground.
Not really. Not
How
really.
close do you get?
Well, it depends on where you're gonna go.
Okay.
Like we went into the rice paddies a lot,
Okay.
and they would hover above the rice paddies, probably 10 feet. And
a good jump.
We'd have to jump and
Break your ankles.
the first guy, when you're a cherry there, which means that you were newbie, yeah, they wouldn't tell you anything when you jumped out of this helicopter. So by the time you hit the paddy, you're down in it. And they're laughing and singing, and it's really funny.
Just for context, because I just at the recording of this video, I just got back from India, got to see a bunch of rice paddies. If you've never seen a rice paddy, it's big. Imagine a big flat field full of mud that's then flooded with water.
Yeah.
So it's water, probably knee-deep water, and then another foot and a half of mud under the water. It's like muddy water. It's a flooded mud field with then tiny little sprigs of rice growing up in the water.
And that's what we had to walk through. You couldn't walk on the paddy dikes because there'd be these paddy dikes on a rice fields.
Paddy dikes, like a elevated little mound of dirt that separates the fields and the squares that you could walk along. It keeps the water in the flooded squares of rice. And look up a picture online for yourself
of a paddy dike?
Of rice paddies.
Don't put in Patty Duke. You'll get a whole different person.
Just look up rice paddy.
But we'd have to walk through these rice paddies a lot.
And you didn't want to walk on the dikes because it would expose you to
landmines.
Yeah,
It's
the obvious
put a lot of
place
mines
to walk
on the dikes, so we generally didn't walk on the dikes.
So just trudging through knee-deep mud.
Knee-deep mud, and whatever else we got into. We had some little jungles. They weren't much, but they'd have banana trees and coconut trees and stuff like that. And we'd eat that stuff instead of sea rations if we could, because the sea rations were
when
terrible.
I was in Florida in the 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, I don't know why, but my dad got a bunch of sea rations, which meant combat rations. Now, these are not MREs, these meals ready to eat. I can't believe you guys carried those around. They were cans of food.
From 1945.
Were they that old?
Oh yeah, they were World War II.
So
food.
Me and my brother, I have a picture of mine to this day that I was just looking at the other day by randomness, of us sitting outside in Tampa, Florida, outside our suburban home that was just built. And we're sitting on the ground, and you get those little can openers.
P-38s.
And we're opening, and we think it's a feast. We're like eating stuff that's like bad spam.
So terrible.
But we didn't care. It was so cool. They had the stuff we liked as little kids. Is they did have some powdered chocolate.
Oh yeah,
milk.
that stuff was good.
My dad said they liked the peaches
Peaches and cookies.
because the peaches had juice,
Yeah,
and they were always
we drink the juice.
nice sweet juice. You could
Beans and Franks.
have. There was all kinds of weird stuff in
And
there.
cold, right?
But
Oh,
they
yeah.
were carrying cans. You've hiked before.
Yeah.
And I've hiked a little with a real pack, not a lot, but enough to know you don't want any weight in that thing.
No.
You don't want cans.
You want dehydrated food that you get water on site and rehydrate the food with.
That's it.
We carried our sea rations in socks.
Okay.
We'd put them in our socks, put them back of our packs, do it that way. We didn't put them in the packs.
Yeah.
But the gooks or the kids would come along, and they had razor blades, and they'd slice the bottom of the sock. There goes our food.
Yeah.
So it was a quick way as you were passing by for them to get some food.
It's a food
off you.
dispensary.
And then they gave it back to us because it was so terrible.
Where is chocolate? I heard you have chocolate.
Gee, I want Coca-Cola.
That's it.
No Coca-Cola. You got glass in your Coca-Cola. No.
So how long I know you got injured.
Yes.
How long were you in country when that happened?
3 months.
But you'd like to do everything fast.
Man,
don't you?
yeah, this is
Well,
wait.
I asked the Lord to do something for me, just a snaky lick. I told you
So
that.
what was a snaky lick? Tell us about that.
Well, I stepped on a mine, and
Oh, man.
that wasn't good.
Oh, man.
When I stepped on it, I lost a leg. And
No, wait. Tell me about that moment. What was it like to step on a mine? Do you just go black and that's it?
No.
You forget?
No, I knew everything. I can still tell you everything. I flew up in the air about 10 feet, landed on the ground. My leg went in the hole, the leg that I lost. It was down in the hole, and I knew that I lost it. And my buddy comes running over to me, guy that I went through basic and AIT, so we were real close. He comes over to me, and he pulls down on my chest. He doesn't want me to look at my leg. He said, "You're fine. Everything's fine. You just got a scratch." I kept looking at my hand because in my hand I was carrying 50 blasting caps.
Wow.
48, actually. We used 2. And there was a hole that went through the can, and I have a scar in my hand that a piece of shrapnel went through and didn't blow the cap. Didn't blow the caps. I don't know what happened. So I'm looking at that because it's bleeding. I'm saying, I'm not looking at anything else. Meantime, I almost lost the other leg. This arm was terrible. You know, it was broken. I have a big scar here where the shrapnel went through. I have a thing on my elbow where it took part of my elbow out. So it wasn't just my leg. It was other parts. I was in the hospital. They had both my legs in a cast and my arm in a cast. And they had IVs going through my neck and my arm. And I was in pretty bad shape.
That does sound bad.
But all was good because that night, because it was around 4:00 in the afternoon, New Year's Eve day.
First day of 2000 or 1968?
It was, going to be 1968. It was 1967 still. So at midnight, it's going to be 68. But anyway, I'm in my bed, my cot, whatever, at a field hospital, Quonset, and we got a mortar attack. So they told everybody, get under your beds.
Oh, great. This is not me. Not you, Don.
Where am I going to go? So they come over and they put flak vests on me. That's how I spent New Year's Eve.
Oh, man. How would you feel emotionally in that time? Did your brain catch up yet with what just happened to you? That your life changed forever?
No, not yet. I was hostile. I was getting to the point where, I asked God to get me out of here, and he did. But I was in Saigon for about a week, and I could see the people walking by, but I still didn't know anything. I still couldn't comprehend what's going on because I was on so many drugs. I just didn't know. And then they sent me to Yokohama, Japan, and I spent a month there.
So because of the drugs, was that so that you wouldn't feel any pain?
Yeah.
And did you feel any pain?
Yeah, I still did.
A little or a lot?
A lot. At that time, it was a lot. But they were drugging me up pretty good. But still, everything that was going on hurt.
Yeah. When you did start to come around in Japan, did you start thinking, what is my future?
I don't even know if I was thinking about my future. I was married then. I got married on leave before I went to Vietnam to my ex.
Okay.
And thought about her a lot, and my family and what they were going to say or do. And I tried to skim things over. First of all, I tried to tell them that I was okay. Nothing happened. I'm in great shape.
Why would you choose that? Since they're going to find out eventually.
because I wanted to tell them personally, and that didn't happen. The Army told them what happened, and they kept advising them of my how I felt, daily, what was going on with me.
But I'd like to fast forward and come right back to that, just to say that when I first met Don, that I could remember. Like he said, he was here at Katanning. I don't really remember meeting you then. I'm sure I might have, but often in church, the pastor just bounces off like a, what do you call them, pinball off of the bumpers. Just hi, 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 hi. And sometimes you get one or two conversations. But then when I started going to Freeport campus regularly, I didn't even know Don was missing a leg until the summer. So I'm telling that so the people listening know that God and his courage together led to a productive life. But at this moment, I'm wondering if you're going to have a productive life, or if you're just going to be an invalid because you've lost a leg.
I never thought of being an invalid. I never thought of being handicapped. I didn't know what I felt at that time.
Okay. Just letting it come to you.
Until I got back to the States, and we landed in Walter Reed. At Walter Reed, I was getting off the plane, coming down. They had me in a stretcher, and again, I'm all bandaged up with casts on my legs and arm and all that stuff. And we're walking by, and these kids at the fence were over there spitting on us, calling us baby killers.
Isn't that something?
I said, man, I'd like to get a rifle right now
and kill you.
Yeah.
Hey, tell us more about that.
That we just couldn't believe it. Mm-hmm. That this country was so against us. Mm-hmm. We had nothing to do with it. We did what the government told us to do.
You got drafted, for crying out loud.
Got drafted. And as far as I'm concerned, we were trying to stop the spread of communism in Vietnam. Mm-hmm. Now, I know there's other stories and it was a useless war and all that stuff. I don't believe that, because I saw people get killed. I saw mothers with their babies. One mother, they killed her and chopped her baby's legs off.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and left her on a paddy dyke to die. And we saved the baby. I never know what happened to it, but those kinds of things went on with their own people. Because if you're not a communist, you're not going to be around very long.
You're garbage.
Yeah.
The any reflections on that? I'd love to hear. As a son of a Vietnam veteran, the veteran who's my father is not the stereotyped one. He didn't smoke dope. He didn't listen to Jimi Hendrix. He didn't disobey orders, and he wasn't cynical. He was a patriot. He joined the Army, I think, in 1958 from Altoona, Pennsylvania, and his country said go, so he went. And I don't know what all his views are. We've talked, but I don't want to represent him. But I've personally, therefore, listened. And though I don't like the accounting of it, and I don't like the way, by accounting I mean the numbers, and I don't like the way I see our government handled it. And I'm not, if you go back, should we have been there, should we not? I don't know if we go back before, but I do know this. Here's where my numbers come up. Our government got in the way and set a pattern for getting in the way. I think that would go on all the way till today. You can't wage a war without the government messing it up. I hate to say that. It's hard to win a war when, if you change political parties, people change what they do. And so 60,000 Americans died. That's a lot. The press made it. Yeah, they had to go. There wasn't all this love your troops, support your troops stuff.
No.
Like I lived through all the Gulf Wars, and I am thankful for the Gulf veterans and take nothing away from their service. In fact, a lot of times they have longer stints. They just keep them over 3 or 4 years at a time, and probably many suffer other things. But for the most part, they weren't dropping like flies, like our guys were then, and without thanks. But here's the one good thing I know. I don't know the actual number, but I think it's at least 300,000 South Vietnamese were shipped over here. And I was we lived in Fort Benning when a lot of that happened. And I remember there was one particular weekend where they were actually at my elementary school. I think it was during the summer or something. My memory's vague because I was a fifth grader or fourth grader. But somewhere. And those were people who were victims of communism coming down from the north. And it's not a good trade, 50,000 people for 300,000. It's not efficient. And we could have done better if our government had stayed out of the way and let them handle it. We would have won that. But then you got this guy, Hung Cao, who's running for Senate in, I think, Virginia. He's not going to win. But he's just a great American. And he wouldn't beat America if it wasn't for people like you, Don.
They appreciate it.
Going over there to fight. And they were on the wrong side. They were not communists, and they were getting slaughtered.
Yes, they
and
were.
after the American soldiers left, the American press kind of just overlooks the fact that the communists did slaughter South Vietnamese. They took over Cambodia, and it was
killed half of Cambodia.
Yeah, we lost 57,000. This is what I mean. I don't like the accounting because one life is valuable to the person whose skin it is and his loved ones. So it all matters. But on sheer numbers, we lost 57,000, saved 300,000, and probably more collaterally. But the communists came in and took at least 1 million right away, and more perhaps after that. At least. Those are the lowest numbers, are 1 million. Just killed them because the Americans left.
Right.
Now, whether we should have been there or not, what would have happened if we didn't go, I don't know. The French got us into this mess. I just want to remind everyone, France got us into this mess. That was French Indochina.
Is Cruiser French?
Cruiser is, you're not French, are you, Cruiser?
No, I think I'm German, Italian mostly.
Well,
He's a
that's
German
okay, then.
Italian. We like that mix.
Yeah.
I got that in me too.
I'm German Irish.
He's German Irish, close
German,
enough.
Welsh Irish.
And he's in between the two of us, so that'll work.
Yep.
All right, so you came home and
So
What do you
you
want?
get off the plane.
Went into
You receive that injustice through the fence.
I did.
Those people don't get murdered, luckily.
Well, they probably became politicians.
no, what? Yeah, they're probably running the country right now.
Okay, then what? So you get off at Walter Reed. Did you spend some time at Walter Reed?
Only a weekend. They took me to Valley Forge. Valley Forge Army Hospital.
Where I was born.
Is that right?
I was born there. In 1963, November.
In that
18th.
hospital?
In that hospital.
Get out!
I was definitely born there. That's my mother.
I missed you
Phoenixville,
by 4
Pennsylvania.
years. 5 years.
Yeah? Well, I knew you were coming. I was born 4 days before Kennedy got shot.
Oh.
And so my mother was actually still in the hospital because they used to keep you for a little while.
Yeah, about a week.
Yeah. I didn't kill him. Do you know what that place is now?
No, I don't.
It's the Assembly of God Valley Forge Bible College.
Is it really?
Yeah. A student went there and I said, you know what? I might have been born on your desk. Anyway, so how long do you hang out at Valley Forge?
Well, I went to Valley Forge and getting off the bus, again, on a stretcher, I was being moved to my ward, Ward 3CD, and this captain was there, all bright and shiny with his uniform and all that stuff, because the officers really did look good, you know, in their uniforms with all their stuff on.
Great, all their ribbons.
Green
What were you at this time? PFC or?
No, I was an acting sergeant in Vietnam. They told me that I gained rank faster than anybody they ever knew.
That is fast, considering you were drafted within a year,
I
made
was
a
3
sergeant.
months.
I was drafted
Here's
in
your
May.
gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to NCO school in Vietnam
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Only 3 months there and you went to NCO school.
for a week. Yeah.
They were
That
fast
was
track.
before 3 months. That was like
That were
2
fast
months.
track.
You have the
people.
most compressed service career.
Yeah, they want to get it over with. quick.
I
heard
know.
of.
I know.
Well, that's what I mean. They must have needed people.
Yeah. Just
They must
desperate.
have needed people too, fast. And
These two sergeants liked me, and I did a lot. I was what you call gung ho, I guess. I didn't think I was, but I guess I was. But
Just good German stock.
Yeah.
Go and you work
He's
hard.
Don Bowers for
For
crying
goodness
out
sake.
loud.
Oh,
Don
my.
freaking
Oh, my.
Bowers.
Yeah.
I'm here to take over.
Donnie. All right. So you meet this captain. Sorry, I interrupted you. It's
So
a
I meet-
good-looking, well-dressed captain at Valley Forge
he was.
Hospital.
And I said, he said to me, "Hey, what are you doing?" I said, "Well, I guess I'm just laying here or whatever." And I'm pretty bad, you know. I hated everybody.
You're
I
mad.
couldn't stand anyone. I was
Yeah.
mad, yeah. And he said to me, "What's wrong with you?" And I said, "What, can't you see?" He says, "Nothing to it." He hit his leg, and it's wooden. Because back then they were wooden. And I said, "Oh, okay."
And that gave you hope.
It did. I looked at him and I said, "Thank you." And he came up and he talked to me different times. Just a nice guy.
Wonderful.
And I went into that place and there was two kinds of people there. Either you were crazy and wanted to have fun, be there, and then the other kind is just so depressed that there was nothing to them. They're just going to go away, you know. And I was the happy-go-lucky guy. I mean, I was happy.
You saw the choice.
I did.
Thanks to that captain.
From that captain, I think.
Do you remember his name?
I do not. Which I did.
That's all right. God knows.
That's rare too.
He was airborne.
He was airborne?
Yep.
Good for him.
It's rare for people to be able to see that choice so
Yeah.
clearly.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It sometimes takes a lot more than just somebody to rap on their wooden leg for you to be able to perceive the choice between bitterness and
But
Yeah.
I had God in my life. I did. I know that I had God in my life all my life. And I knew that he would support me no matter what I do.
So let's go into that. How did your relationship with God change through this tragic event? Because you said you went into Vietnam backsliding, you said, but knowing you wanted to be close to God. Right? That's what you said, because of what he could do for you.
But never did. Never got to that place where I was I guess you'd call it a real Christian. I don't know how other to say it until I met Pastor Harvey.
So
do you know?
So you being laid up after the mine explosion didn't make you think about God differently yet?
I knew he loved me.
Oh, well, that's good.
It wasn't his fault.
Yeah. I mean,
He didn't step on the mine, I did.
I didn't have anything against God. Never did I have anything against God. Even when my father was killed, I didn't take that against God. I didn't know then, like we're learning now, that it's going to happen no matter what. God does all things, and it doesn't matter how you look at it. Like this election, like anything else, if anyone's smart, they vote for the good guy, which got shot, and try to keep this country together, or you vote for the other
Communists.
the communists.
Which are, we can say it openly now. We heard that we're going to have price controls. So, and we already have government health care, and it's getting worse. And it's
All right, let's not go down that road.
so anyway. I'm just agreeing with our guest.
I agree.
I'm not getting political. I'm agreeing with our guest.
What I don't understand is this country was so great, and why would anyone want to go back to be a communist or to be a communist?
Because we're too young to know.
That's
we
right.
don't know history. You know what? I went through the entire American school system, and I didn't really understand communism at all. And I must have got lucky till like my fourth year in college. And I don't remember what the class was. We had one professor who taught us the fundamentals of communism. And that's the first time I learned.
I never got it.
I knew it was bad because
I
I
never
learned
got
that from Reagan and from life. You know, on our movies, the Russians were the bad guys back in the old days. So I knew they were bad. I didn't know what Stalin did. I didn't know about the Bolsheviks. That's right. No one taught me about the Bolsheviks. I learned that on my own.
Yeah.
I read Dostoevsky's, Solzhenitsyn's Gulag
the
Archipelago.
craziest. We're going down a rabbit hole, but
It's a good rabbit hole.
it's crazy to me. I mean, I'm in high school 2004 to 2007. I think 2004 I was a freshman. 2007 I graduated. So like, I missed all the Reagan stuff where you kind of naturally learned a little bit about it because of the Cold War. But I missed all the Cold War stuff.
Even then, it wasn't presented correctly. It was just told they don't have much food or clothes, and they're going to bomb us. And that's all they told us.
You have the most dramatic century in human history
for death.
Outside of, I mean,
Yeah.
arguably of all time, but certainly any time recently. You have 2 world wars, 100 million people die at the hands of communism, is a rough estimate.
Well, stop right there. Most of the people who died by communism were killed by their own government.
That's
Yes.
right.
We're not talking about wars.
No, that's not including the death tolls of World War I and II.
Stalin
That's
and-
Stalin and Mao and Cambodia and
Cuba,
and Cuba.
Che Guevara, and
In Venezuela.
wherever they go, they kill their own people.
Yeah. That
Well, he
100
just told
million
us
is
they chopped
not
the
war.
legs off a baby. Those weren't an enemy. That was their government.
And how is that not even a semester in your high school?
True.
Like, it's not let alone a whole year course
No.
on it. But like,
Now the Nazis were bad, but we
It's
didn't.
crazy.
That's it. Just the Nazis are bad. But now I think people are waking up to it. And I think the internet's helping, and I do think the United States is the only way to defeat us. In
let
the
us
short term
defeat ourselves.
is if we defeat ourselves from within. I think.
Khrushchev said that.
Well, and he wasn't
In
stupid.
57, he pounded his shoe
Shoe
on
on the
a
table.
and said, America's going to defeat itself. We won't have to fire a shot. We'll take America.
Well, and they may not be the ones who take us, but their ideology is definitely hurting us right now.
Well, I think it's China.
And well,
They're going to take us.
maybe we break communism's back right here. We break it over our legs. Finally communism ran into what it couldn't beat.
Don Bowers.
Oh, no, not me.
Don frickin' Bowers, baby, superhero.
On one leg.
I can beat you with one leg.
Well, his leg is titanium now, not wood. So.
It is.
So getting back to the story. So you're in Valley Forge. You meet the captain. You start to try to maintain a positive outlook. You said you're happy-go-lucky.
That's correct.
So you got your wooden leg. And when did you had already married your girlfriend at this point?
You know, you could have
Yeah.
been a pirate at this point.
I could have.
You can't be a
I
pirate.
was one time for Halloween.
Really? Well, you have to lose your parts.
I made a peg leg.
Pegs will work. Legs will work. Eye will work. You can lose an eye or you can lose a hand.
I can use both, but I mean an eye. Just put an eye patch here. But anyway, I went as a pirate, and when I went in there, the kids were looking all over the place for my leg. They couldn't find it.
It's like a trick. Is this not a trick?
How do you do that? I want one of those. No, you don't.
That's awesome.
Anyway, yes.
So you get out of Valley Forge, and at this point, where are you and your wife living?
We lived at her parents' house for about 2 or 3 months
Connecticut.
in Connecticut. And then we bought a mobile home.
Were you walking then?
I was. I spent.
And you're not mad anymore. You said you were mad.
Well, I was mad until I met that captain. And then he just took it out of me for whatever reason.
Well,
Because
I can see why. He said, "Look, pal, you haven't gone through this before, but somebody has.
Yeah.
And I'm standing here. You can stand here too.
Yeah.
I think that's very simple.
Yeah.
I think I was one of the only amputees, leg amputees on that bus coming in. The rest were arms and whatever else. Mm-hmm. And he came. He was just a great guy, and I think that happened. I think God sent him.
Oh, no question.
So after that,
You're in Connecticut. You buy a trailer.
went to Connecticut, bought a trailer. Couldn't
American
stand
dream, baby. Living in a single wide in
Raise
Connecticut.
your hand. Raise your hand if you've lived in a trailer.
12 by 60, man. 12 by 60.
Oh, you did a 12 by 60 too.
I did.
Those are the little suckers. That was seminary for us.
Little. They were huge then.
Oh my goodness.
They were the biggest ones. You could buy.
80s. I like the 80. You get the extra 20 feet.
Well, I would too if they made them, but they
Okay.
didn't then. So we lived in a trailer park for about 3 months, 2-3 months. I couldn't stand it. So we bought a piece of land that I went to my father-in-law then and asked him if he'd give me a loan, and he did. And we moved the trailer out to a 3-acre piece of land right up from Yukon, not far from Yukon. And we lived there for another year.
That's
maybe.
got to be a sweet piece of real estate. Do you still own it?
Well, I'll tell you a story about that.
Yukon's
It ain't
University
good.
of Connecticut, everybody.
yeah. 3 acres near Yukon. That's probably a good move. Good investment.
Didn't know that then.
No.
But because I thought it was too far away from Yukon. But now it's
These
awesome.
days, that'd be a retirement
Prime,
package by
baby.
itself.
Well, I built a house there.
Excellent.
So you guys stayed there for a
I
while.
lived in it for 6 months and got divorced.
Well, you do everything in a hurry, don't you?
I did.
We should have sent him to the moon. We'd have got there faster.
I was gonna say,
I got 10 minutes. I'm going to the moon.
build a house 6 months, I'm out of it.
Nobody has ever gone to the moon. Come on.
Well, the Earth's flat. You just have to step off the edge.
No, there's that ice wall there.
The ice wall. You climb the ice wall, slide down. You're on the moon.
So,
Do you want to go into that at all? How long were you guys married?
we were only married for about 4 years. And I went home one day sick and got there, and my best friend was playing with my wife. So we had to split. I didn't want to split. I would have stayed with her, but she
liked him.
more than liked him.
Yeah.
I think it's because of my leg.
Yeah.
Because we would go ice skating with them, and I couldn't skate. I never really ice skated.
Was he married too?
Yeah,
Oh, great.
Awesome.
but she was in on it. Mm-hmm. So I'm sitting there trying to put ice skates on, and they go skating away. So I said, But I really didn't know until that day
When they ice skate or when you found them together?
when I found them together.
Yeah.
I really didn't think that he would do that to me
You'd think.
because he was a friend, I thought. So we ended that.
You know what Jesus feels like, right? I mean, Jesus had, for the great betrayal that was necessary for the sacrifice of the Lamb of God, a close friend brought the soldiers,
Yeah.
gave him a kiss, stepped aside.
Yeah,
That betrayal, Jesus knows what that feels like.
absolutely.
And now you did, unfortunately.
But I got married to my wife now, and I'm happy that everything went
So
the way
did
it
you
did.
leave Connecticut right then?
No, we stayed there for
So
another
she's a Connecticut
6
girl
years.
too.
No, she was a New Ken girl.
Would you call up? Hey, I need another wife.
So
That's pretty much what it was.
I'm still stuck. So you got this house on 3 acres next to Yukon, and does your old wife get the Yukon house?
There's another story there.
Well, we don't have to go to all those details.
She said to me, she said, why don't I just keep the house?
Why don't you?
Why
just get
don't
the-
you?
Why don't you just go live with that guy?
I said, because I'm either going to burn it down or sell it. Which one do you want?
Because I'm Don
said-
frickin' Bowers. That's why you don't get the house.
She said, we'll sell it.
We'll sell it.
Okay.
You know, burn it down, sell it. I guess we'll sell
So
it.
I goes out to get an apartment because I couldn't stand living there anymore. And she said, you don't have to get an apartment. You can live here. I said, no.
No, I might murder
What are you
somebody.
going to do? I said, well, I'm either going to kill you or myself. And I really don't want to die right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I left.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, you didn't kill the kids at the fence.
So you already knew your present wife then.
No, I didn't.
So how now I'm curious. How does a guy in Connecticut date?
Tina, everybody.
My cousin and his wife is best friends with my wife.
Mm-hmm.
And they got me on a blind date.
Okay.
Gotta love them family blind dates.
This
That's,
is-
that's how I got
Make sure
married.
you have your long pants on, Don. We didn't tell her the details.
Yeah. She don't want to know that. You did what? When?
I'm marrying a pirate, Mom.
So she comes to the cars, it's parked in a Presbyterian parking lot right next to her apartment. And she goes to get in this old beat up station wagon. I said, whoa. I said, this is my car. 1971 Mach 1.
Wow.
So
Wow.
she gets in the car.
Hours.
Wow.
We go to the show.
So she thought you had the station wagon?
Yeah. Because I was old and married.
Well, that means you had her because
Oh,
she
yeah.
knew she was marrying up.
When she
Let's
went
face
to-
it, the ladies like to marry up, no matter what they say.
Well, I thought she was rich.
Was she?
No, I was kidding.
Oh,
So a Mach 1, is that,
Mustang,
that
right?
that's what I thought, but I didn't want to be wrong.
Yeah.
Is it Mustang?
Yeah.
You said 67?
No, 71.
71?
So it was new. You bought it almost new.
It was the dealer's wife's car. Mm-hmm. Had all the bells and whistles. It was
Give us a
forest,
picture, Cruz.
forest green
71.
with a white interior.
If you can find green, then it's all the better.
Yeah. So she goes to grab the door handle of an old beat up station wagon.
The
And he said,
Griswold's
"No, no,
car.
no,
Said
no, no,
honky
no.
lips on the side.
Come on, lady. We're over here in this.
Yeah.
Oh, her night got better all of a
I was
sudden.
like, all right.
So, I
So
stopped-
was the blind date in New Kent? Did you
Yeah,
move
had to
back
be.
Yeah.
down?
No,
Oh, he's
I didn't
visiting.
move back home. I came home to visit.
You came all the way.
He's visiting
Was it
Connecticut.
for the blind date?
There it is. That's my
You might
car.
want to see his mom. Wow, look at that thing.
Look at that.
That's it. Right
Did you
there.
hold on to it?
No.
Do you wish you had?
Yes. Tina made me get rid of it because she got pregnant, and she said it's not a family car.
This sounds like my father's
I
story.
said, what's wrong with it?
I think a family would love that car.
Absolutely.
Honey, I know you had a baby, but just put the seat up.
She didn't have
Get
the
in
baby
back.
yet. She didn't have it yet.
But when it comes, just put the seat up and throw the kid in the back.
This is the same story of my parents. My dad had a 71 Camaro.
All you people are cooler than I was.
And my older sister has baby pictures sitting on the hood. And when my mom got pregnant with me, a boy, she made him sell it. And I was like, you didn't think a boy might like to have a 71
well,
Camaro?
you guys
around?
are better than I am. I had a Toyota truck, which used to be called a Toyota truck. Like they didn't have a name for it. It
just
wasn't the
called it-
T100. It wasn't a Tundra. It wasn't.
Wasn't a Tacoma.
It would be
was-
called a Tacoma now because it was the 4-cylinder,
Yeah.
4-wheel drive truck.
But they just called it a Toyota truck.
They called it a Toyota truck, and it had no back seat. And then we had a baby. Not near as cool as that car. Nowhere near as cool.
71 Mach 1.
So,
Oh, I like that car.
yeah.
Okay, so you hit it off with Tina.
I did. We got married. We got married a month after I got divorced.
I expect nothing less.
Tell you what, you want something done. You asked Dawn.
Wait.
Hey, we romanced for 6 months, for crying out loud. That was long enough.
Oh, so while the divorce was going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I could wait till the divorce is final to date, but
Why?
what a waste of my life.
Right.
I'm in a hurry here.
Waste of money and time.
I did
you
the
know?
Vietnam War really fast. I'm doing dating fast.
Not only that, the Army, somebody in the Army, doctors, somebody said that amputees don't live past 50. So I wanted to get a lot done.
Did they really say that?
They said that.
What kind of? I don't want to go
Because back then, amputees really didn't do a lot.
there. Oh, they just sat around,
Sat around and
got old. So fast forward here. What was your career throughout your life?
I've been in transportation was my start, but I got into the oil business early. Mm-hmm. And I've been in the gasoline, diesel, six-oil business all my life.
So what have you been doing and who have you worked for?
I started out with Hartford Dispatch and Warehouse. I started out with E.F. Houghton. Houghton, not Hutton.
Not Hutton. People listen.
They were a chemical company out of Philadelphia. And they had a branch in Manchester, Connecticut, and I worked there. And I worked as a traffic manager and warehouse man. I took inventories and all that stuff. Worked there for about 4 years, and then went to Hartford Dispatch and Warehouse, and I was rate manager and claims auditor.
Okay.
So I was there for about 2 years, and my ex-wife's husband, she married the guy.
Your old buddy.
Yeah. One day I dropped my daughter off at their house, and he came to the door and took my daughter and said to me, you owe us a check. You're not going to see your daughter until I get the check. And slammed the door in my face. So I said to Tina, I think it's time we move because I'm about to kill somebody again. And I didn't want to do that because then I'd go to jail. But
You really felt that angry.
I I was livid that he was worried about one check of all the checks that we gave him. And I still say we gave him the check. They took us to court.
Isn't he man enough to pay for the woman he stole?
No. No.
Okay. So, time to move.
Yeah, it was time to move. So we moved back to New Ken. I came back as a floral designer because that's what I went to school for before I went to
Floral
Vietnam.
designer?
I can make weddings. I can make centerpieces. I can.
Do you like to dance and wear dresses?
I do not. See, everybody thought that, and I'm saying,
Could you do my hair?
why did you do that? You don't know how to make flowers. See him.
Hit him.
Control him. There's no control.
This is like Meet the Parents. You don't know. That's his cover for his CIA job.
I know he's a CIA guy.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a plant here.
You didn't know that?
Pot of dirt.
Comes to the door with a box of flowers.
Yeah.
That was it.
Like King of the Hill. I don't know. That's a episode reference.
No, that was the undercover for Robert De Niro in that movie.
Yes.
He was a plant guy.
Yes.
So,
But you actually were.
I did.
Floral designer.
I did. And
So did you have your own like florist shop?
no, I worked for people.
okay.
I worked for a guy in New Kensington, who's the guy that I worked for when I left. And I believe that when I left, he went to the draft board because they met there every day with coffee. And I think he went down there and he said he moved to Connecticut because there's no way that they could have drafted me within 2 weeks by the time when I moved to Connecticut. So he was behind it. I really feel that. But I came back and worked for him for another year or two. And I couldn't stand it because the guy that I was working with was the head designer. And he was flowery and
okay.
all the rest.
Was it difficult because of that, or was he a good guy?
I quit. No, I didn't like him.
He wasn't a nice guy?
Approaching,
Yeah.
And I'm not that way.
Yeah. Don't.
I had 2 wives. You don't.
Yes. Don't proposition me.
Yeah.
So after 2 years, you left that job and then you went back to gas and oil somehow.
I went back and worked for Reserve Petroleum, which was a company down in Fox Chapel that they had their office there, and that was really it. And he bought some. He had a terminal down in Charleroi, but I worked there as traffic manager, and I did barges and trucks and trains.
Excellent.
I ran barges all over the rivers throughout the United States.
They should have had you in logistics in the Army. You'd have done well, and your leg wouldn't have got knocked off.
Yeah.
So, so you raised your family there.
I did.
Kids?
Yeah.
How many?
We have 3, and I have another one
Right.
from the first wife. So Tina and I have 3. Mm-hmm. Son that's going to be 49 this year, and 2 daughters. And they're pretty much local. One daughter lives up in Emporium, which is 3 hours away. Mm-hmm. The other one lives over in Kiski. So
Yeah, and none of them are even remind you at all of Mortimer Snerd.
no,
Not
they
in
don't.
the least.
I never called any one of my kids Mortimer Stern.
That's good.
I had 2 wonderful, beautiful daughters. I have 2.
Have you found Mortimer Snerd yet? Look up Mortimer Snerd. Get us a picture for. Come on, man.
Mortimer Snerd.
It's phonetics. MORTIMORS.
I couldn't tell if it was Mortimer or Mortar.
No, Mortimer. When you have a baby, Cruz, name him Mortimer.
Yeah.
Mortimer Snerd.
And he'll hate you the rest of his life.
Yeah, he'll love you. You could probably get a video of Mortimer Snerd if you tried, and Edgar Bergen.
Still got to get more. Cruiser a woman, right?
I've been trying to get him a woman. Unlike you, he doesn't move very fast.
There's Mortimer.
There he is.
Hey, Mortimer, how you doing?
Yeah, that's him.
That's my sister.
Hey, be quiet.
Sorry,
she could be
Sandy.
listening to
Sorry,
this.
sorry. I apologize. That's what Dad did. I didn't do it.
Oh man. Yeah. Don't say that to your wife.
No.
Anyway, go ahead.
To my sister.
So, how was your faith during this time?
It was growing.
Where'd you go to church when you came back?
Went to church at Maranatha, the church
There he
that
is.
I was when I was a kid.
Sorry.
And
Is your mom still alive then, and she was there?
Yes. Then we had a pastor that I just couldn't take, and one day the choir director, because I was in a choir, said to us, if you can't stand behind your pastor, you should leave the church. So I left, and I didn't know where to go to, so we went to a Presbyterian church, and that was before all the
PCUSA
stuff came out
and PCA split, probably.
So when that happened, we really weren't going to church much.
Is Mortimer still on the screen for everybody? Okay, because he's on our screen. He can be on our screen, I guess. Like we can look at him, or not.
There you go.
So you went to a Presbyterian church. How was your walk with Christ? You when did you meet Pastor Mike Harvey?
Well, when I moved from this church, from Katanning to Freeport,
So
when it first started.
For those perhaps newer to Harvest and don't know, we have 4 locations. Our 4th one was a church that was already existing that was losing its pastor, and they asked us to come in. And it was just a little bitty building in Freeport, and we asked if someone would like to go and help out with this. So Michael Harvey was actually a Presbyterian pastor, and then he ran a Presbyterian camp for years. That's how I met him, because my kids' school was associated with that camp, and so was his wife. And I'd been out there before. And then he started attending our church, and it was just the right timing. We needed a campus pastor, and he was ready to be done doing camp things. It was just that season was over. And so he was the campus pastor. Anyway, that's all the background. Don, you knew that. So
Yep.
Tell us about how that changed your life.
I wasn't reading my Bible. I wasn't reading much of anything. It was really hard for me to read a newspaper or any kind of newsprint. It just was difficult with my eyes and my attention. My attention span is about as long as that.
Okay. It was longer a second ago.
I know. That's why I put it
He
up the
moves
second
fast.
time.
Now it's this.
But I just couldn't do it. So we were going over to visit the campgrounds that they're going to have the man camp.
Yeah.
We went over to, not Ligonier, but
Seneca Hills?
no,
The Jumonville?
not Jumonville, Jennerstown.
Jennerstown.
Yeah, we went over to Jennerstown, and he was talking to me. He said, "Why don't you get on YouVersion?" And I said, "What's YouVersion?" He said, "It's a Bible app." I said, "What can you do on there?" And he said, "You can do anything." And he said, "Why don't you try that and try reading?" So I went on YouVersion, went on the phone, and I could read. You know, the background with the lit up background, I could read. So I started reading, and then we got on some devotionals, and we're still on devotionals to this day. Mm-hmm. A bunch of us, and
So those devotionals, could you tell a little about them? Because somebody might be looking this up now. What's the devotional like? What happens every day when you look at it? What do you see?
well, Jim Steiniger picks up some devotionals for us, for the group of guys that are there, and you can participate if you want to, or you don't have to. So I've been participating since he started the thing, and what it is just a weekly walk, or a 7-day, 10-day, 3-day Bible devotional that we read, and then there's verses there to go with, and then there's time to comment.
Okay.
And some of the guys comment, and some of the guys don't.
So on your phone, using the YouVersion app,
Yes.
you can. It's a way where you don't have to see the guys, and you're still communicating with them
Right,
while reading the Bible together.
Yep.
Jim Steiniger, by the way, for those who may not know, is one of the elders of Harvest, and he goes to that Natron Heights campus. All right, so then tell me more about Mike. I want to hear, because I was thinking of firing him for, I didn't know he was doing anything. So let's hear this good news about
I'll
him.
tell you what. Well, like I said, I mean, he got me reading the Bible again, and I started reading the Bible, and I started coming closer to God. Mm-hmm. And one day, he said to me, we had lunch, and he said to me, "Are you sure you're a Christian?"
Why did he ask you such
Well,
a
he
alarming
didn't, he didn't say it. He didn't say it. He didn't say it that strong.
You come across as a pagan to me, son.
Yeah. You're just not walking a walk. I said, oh? He said, not really. He didn't say that, but he insinuated that maybe I ought to take a look. And I did, and I wasn't. And now I want to. Now I'm doing everything that I possibly can, and my life has totally changed. My life changed going to Harvest, period, when I first stepped through the doors of Katanning, when there was just little barn boards on the back display.
What brought you here? By the way, I'm glad you did come. We're really thankful. But what brought you here?
Well, two things. My mother had to go to a rest home. So we took her to the rest home in Katanning. We were looking for a church, and I said, you remember that church that Ron told us about? It's up on a hill there somewhere.
Ron who? Friend of yours, I take it.
Well, it's a friend of my son's.
Okay. You don't have to remember his last name then.
Yeah, I will, but
It took me a while. It took me 10 minutes to get Edgar Bergen, so it's okay.
But he took us to a game dinner here,
All right.
and he bought my son and me tickets, and we came and didn't do too much.
Yeah. Ate game.
and
listened to a
left.
guy
And I
talk.
said, "It's up on a hill there. Let's try that, because then we can go visit my mom after the service."
Right.
So we did. We came here. We heard the service and liked it. For all things, I liked him.
I wasn't off that day. I wasn't off that day. That's good.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. but-
People normally come in when we have guest pre.
I mean, you see how he laughs when he finds out I'm a florist.
I know.
My gosh. See, he's still laughing. I don't know what we're going to do about this.
The thing is, I love flowers and I love gardening, but I don't tell people.
You just
That to
did.
myself. I complain about it in a manly way.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, I mean, I just got closer and closer and closer. Now I want to be there more and more each day.
Look, Jesus himself is the attractive. When he gets you, there's a hunger to have more of them.
I agree.
And I think, I don't know if you want to talk about this at all, but you're slowing down. I didn't even realize that you were slowing down until I was talking with Will about this podcast. Because I have been here in Katanning doing most of my work, not as much in Natrona Heights. I haven't seen you much. But he was saying you had trouble getting up steps. And
He's
I'm
fresh out of neck surgery.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I heard you
wouldn't
had
even,
surgery.
You wouldn't even be able to tell
So
on
he
video,
says
but
he says he's having trouble. And then you came and you showed up. This is the first time I've ever seen you with oxygen.
Yeah. I've been on it for over a year.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's 2 years or a year. I can't remember. But
well, for a while there, you just used it intermittently.
yeah, I would come in and put the tank down and take it off.
Can I pick that up?
Sure. It ain't light.
That's what I want. That's what I wanted to see. You came walking in today and carrying that thing, and I thought, man, that's something to haul
And
around.
that's probably,
That's probably why you needed neck surgery.
I don't know where it is right now.
It's right here.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, as far as how much oxygen I have
I
left.
might as well show it off since I talked about it. Is that
No,
the
that'll
meter?
say empty. No, you got to do it like that. Oh,
Is it empty?
no, it's good. See, the needle
Oh,
goes
okay.
up.
Right,
It's
right.
by weight.
It's by weight.
So I'm good with that.
I'm glad to hear that.
I'd hate to run out, but I have one in my truck anyway. so,
Okay, well, we get it for you.
Yeah.
You've earned it. You've earned it.
Yeah, over the last couple of years, I've had some stuff going on, and it just keeps hitting me, and there's probably more on my nightstand when I go to bed than what I have on.
Well, here's what I've
Legs
been,
and arms. And
here's what I have been hearing about you, though. I've been hearing that you've been ministering to people.
I have.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have.
Yeah. Will, you want to talk a little bit
Well,
about
this.
that?
Hopefully, this doesn't get awkward. But
Are you going to talk about my Catholic friend?
No,
Okay, go ahead.
no, it
You
wasn't
can.
going to.
Tell-
Well, who's your Catholic
Who's
friend?
your Catholic friend?
Well, he's going to listen to this,
Well, we're going to be real nice.
and I'm going to have lunch with him or breakfast with him tomorrow.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's a friend of mine from high school,
Okay.
and we've been meeting a lot. He lost his wife,
Oh, that's sad.
and he's really taken aback with it. She was the love of his life, and that's one of the things that he's having problems with, and that's loving God more than he loved his wife. Mm-hmm. And I said, you have to. That's the thing. God means more to you than your wife did. And your wife meant so much to you, so you know how much God loves you.
That's the key.
He made your wife and gave her to
Is
you.
you realize your wife is a gift from God.
Right.
And I don't want to know what it's like to have your wife die first.
No.
I told my wife we're going together in a fiery wreck because I don't want her moping and stuff if I die. For all I know, she'll have a party. But so we're both going to go together in a fiery wreck. She hates it when I say that. I don't know what part of that she doesn't like. Because a fiery wreck, when you die, if it's enough to make a fire in a car, you hit hard.
Yeah.
But she sees us alive and burning. I'm like, no, we die instantly, and then we burn. But in all seriousness, though, I seriously don't want to go through that, which your friend is going through.
Right.
But I think in the midst of the sadness, remember how angry you were to lose a leg. It can be hard to feel loved by God when your heart is broken.
But he does, and that's the good thing.
Mm-hmm. He does.
It's just getting over that part. I think that part of it is really his struggle.
Yeah.
And just prayerfully, he gets away from it.
How long ago did she die?
A year ago.
So, dude, we're talking about you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Frank. All's good.
But I'm glad you're meeting with Frank. And Frank, I want you to know that when this good life ends, a better life can begin. And it's never too late. The Savior, the thief on the cross, was not a very religious man.
Nope.
In fact, he confessed with his own mouth that he deserved execution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't used to going to Saturday school or Saturday church like the Jews do. And he just turned to Jesus honestly and said, and one honest moment, he saw the Savior and said, would you remember me? And Jesus saved him.
Yeah.
And that is our hope. There is always hope of seeing a loved one again, and that's it, that you know Christ. And Christ is the greater one. And it doesn't come in the rituals. You may feel close to him because of rituals at church and any church, Catholic or Protestant, but that's not how he comes. He's a person. You can know him. And he wants to know people. He wants to know us. That's the connection, is that personal meeting with him, saying, forget all the religion. God is not helping me. Will you know me? Is really it. Because Christ died for sinners. And, or, as I'm sure Frank has heard many times, the Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world. He died to take those away.
Right.
So now he just waits for you to call on him. The Bible says, all who call upon the name of the Lord will be saved. He wants that personal relationship. He's not concerned with all the things you've done wrong in your past. He's handled that. He wants to know if you want to be his friend, if you want to know him. He's not needy for a friend. You are. Whoever is listening to this, all of us. So if you call on him, he will save you. And that's what matters most. And he will comfort you because he knows what it's like. He was a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief. He knows what it's like to share our sorrow. So, and that's what I mean. So Don, what were you going to say before Don interrupted you with his Catholic friend?
Well, it's just you don't feel like you've ministered to anybody recently, other than Frank, right? That's who came to mind for you.
Yeah, right.
But like,
Maybe Frank matters more than you think it is.
he
Frank,
does.
we love you.
He does matter. I didn't know.
Make Don pay
don't know
next time.
Wow.
He's never coming back.
But like one of the reasons I really
love the
wanted
podcast. I hate those guys, especially Mike.
one of the reasons I really wanted to have Don on here is just the impression he makes on us younger guys. I'm not so young anymore, but
Well,
whether he
heck, you're not.
realizes it or not.
Compared to us,
Yeah,
I mean, he's old to me and you're young to me.
I'm younger. So, so you had
My
neck
poor dad
surgery.
is listening to this, and guess what? You're young to my dad. He's got 10 years on you, probably.
Really?
Well, he joined the Army in 1958,
Yeah, he did.
and you joined in 1967.
So he's 9 years older than me. Probably.
Well, and he joined at age 17.
Wow.
So, yeah, he might be 8 years older than you. Or,
Yeah.
Oh, 6.
So he's born 1940. When were you born?
46.
Okay, 6 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Well, I just want to talk about the type of impact anyone can have, any Christian can have unknowingly on other people. So, Dawn, you had neck surgery recently.
I did.
Right? So you're laid up at home.
I was.
Couldn't come on Sundays, which that's all you wanted to do, right?
Yep.
And so, a number of people visited you, right?
They did.
And this is the beautiful thing about Dawn, is everybody's going to his house thinking that they're going to minister to Dawn.
To cheer him up.
Cheer up.
The old fella.
And then everybody walks away ministered to by Dawn and cheered up by Dawn.
Yeah.
How'd that happen?
I don't know, buddy.
I don't know either.
I bet you Tina gave him refreshments.
Yeah. She gave me all the instructions. Oh, okay. I just didn't know how to do it.
I think that is the miraculous power imparted to us if we pick it up by the Holy Spirit, is Paul's Philippians quote that always gets misused, that you can find contentment in all things through Jesus, right? Was it Philippians 4:7?
You're right with the thought. He does say it
I can do all things through Christ.
Right, and he actually talks about contentment, and there's no full satisfaction on this earth. Actually, some of the best times we have are hunger. I mean, spiritual hunger. When you're most enjoying Christ is when you're most hungry for more, right?
Yeah.
And so satisfaction's coming, but you can be content with your lot in life. You won't always be, but you can through Christ. Yeah. You can. You don't have to be bitter, and you don't have to be worrying, and we get that way. We're weak, but yeah, contentment can be there. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Don?
Well, I get down. Sometimes I just feel like everything's crushing in, and I should be gone by now, but I'm not. My brother's an influence to me. He's going to be 80 next year, and he as a worker, he goes out and works in other people's yards and does crazy stuff, and is a healthy guy, and he just keeps pushing me on. So, and I push on him, the Lord. Mm-hmm. I say, you got to get closer, buddy. Mm-hmm. I mean, he is a Christian. I believe that.
Well, your mother made sure he knew better.
Well, yeah, but my brother, he's the one that my mother would give us a dime every Sunday so we could put it in collection. Mm-hmm. And he'd take and go to the store. That was my brother.
I shouldn't laugh. It's hard to resist, doggone. It's a dime.
Yeah.
Times are hard. Mom's working 2 jobs.
10 cents was a lot of money.
That's right.
It was about $1.
I believe it.
Or more.
I know I'm obviously much, much younger, but when I could get 5 pieces of candy for a nickel.
Yeah, it was
at
penny
the
candy.
Little General.
Yeah.
I could either buy a whole piece of candy for a nickel, a whole candy bar for a dime if I had it, but I'd get 5 little pieces just so I had 5. And this was before me.
Yeah.
By 20 years.
Yeah.
So I bet you a dime will got you some good stuff.
A nickel was a popsicle.
Wow.
Did
he buy you a popsicle and himself, or did he?
No, it was just himself, man. Mom, I didn't take it.
What's his name?
Ralph.
Ralph, if you're listening to this, I think you owe your brother some popsicles or something.
Because he never ratted you out.
In fact, you should pay for both Don and Frank's next breakfast.
Mom never knew.
I bet she did. You can't rat. Snitches get stitches.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And I'll get stitches from that, let me tell you. But that's okay. I can take it.
You really? Well, that's interesting because age is. I have. My mom has 4 sisters. No, there are 4 girls and a boy. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Wait.
This is what
5
happens when you
girls.
get old, folks. You can't even remember how many
Rosie,
siblings you have.
Enid,
Yeah.
Susan, Mandy, Judy. No, there are 5 girls. Okay.
It's a basketball team.
I know. My mom died in 2016. Her next to youngest sister, who I was very close to, Judy Bishop, Aunt Judy, she died this year. Last year. It was this year because it's still summer. Yeah. And, but her oldest sister, Enid, my Aunt Enid, she's got to be pushing, I don't want to say it out loud, or she's got to be pushing 90.
Yeah.
I don't know how old she is actually, because I can't remember. Nah, she's probably 85, 86. And she's just going like she's on fire. And why did the next to youngest sister die? And all the others and my mom died. Mom, she's second. Okay, you can see she could go. But God chooses how long we're on this earth.
Yeah.
And as long as we're here, we're working for him. And the answer, I once knew this 99-year-old lady or 98-year-old lady when I went my first pastorate in New Jersey. And I still remember her saying to me, I went to visit her because I was trying to visit everyone in this little church. There's about 100 people in the church, and I would try to go visit all of them the first year. So I went to her house, and she said, she would talk about her family. Yeah, my husband was dead. My parents are dead. All my siblings and my cousins, and everybody. My son is old. And he says, I don't know why I'm still alive. And I still remember her saying that to me. And I'm like, well, we're not going to offer you nothing right now, but the answer is, if you follow Christ, it's because he's not done with you yet. And he loves you, and he's working on your soul, and he loves other people. And you can sometimes bless them in the way you want to, caring for them. Sometimes you bless them the way he wants they care for you. You don't know why you're here.
Right.
But, Jesus actually, at the end of John, he says to Peter, when you're old, other people are going to bind you up and take you where you do not want to go. And then the writer, who is John, the gospel writer is John, he said in parentheses, this was the manner of death in which he was going to die, he told him. And so Peter then points to the writer, who's John, and says, what about him? And Jesus says, if I want him to live till I come back, he'll live till I come back. You worry about yourself.
Yeah.
And so we go on. I mean, I do think, though, there's a guy named Robertson McQuilkin who was very impactful in missions, though most people don't know his name, and ran the seminary where I was at for a long time. And then he quit to take care of his wife who had Alzheimer's. He said that was his first calling. And she would later die, and he died recently. But he wrote a poem, and I don't like poetry that much, but I do like the sentiment. And the title was, God, let me die before the sun goes down. As he watched his wife fade away, he knew it was his ministry, and he loved her to the end. But he said, let me die before the sun goes down. I mean, as a man, don't you guys kind of resonate with that?
Yeah, but I can remember one of your sermons where we were talking about Jesus and John the Baptist. And I don't know how you put it, or somebody asked you or whatever, but why did John die so early? Why was his head cut off?
James.
No, John.
Oh, John
the
right,
Baptist.
John the Baptist, not John the Gospel.
Why did he die so early? He was Jesus' cousin. And you said because God was through with him.
He was finished his work.
Yeah, he finished his work.
He was very effective. I mean, he's the most effective preacher he had. I mean, he literally caused people from all over the country to come see him in the wilderness.
Right.
Most effective.
Eating honey and bees.
Eating locusts and honey. But then you think of Stephen. After the church was born, Stephen was so filled with the Spirit, he could out-argue all the Pharisees. And he got killed after.
Stoned to death.
Stoned him.
It's like, we're losing the good ones.
Yeah.
That's why I try to suck as much as possible and tick people off so I can stick around a little longer.
And I do understand the sentiment of let me die before the sun goes down. I mean, you were talking about that little old lady who said, and I don't know why I'm still alive.
That's exactly what she said. I don't know why I'm still here.
My wife, as we're recording this, is at Grandma Peggy's house, her grandmother, so great-grandma Peggy to a lot of people. And she's 90-ish. She just this year buried her third out of 5 children.
Oh, that's bad.
And it's like, yeah,
that happens.
It happens. It's
could
not
die of
always.
old age
It's
before
not
their
always a
parents.
blessing
To live forever,
Right.
Unless
To
your
live
kids
forever.
do. I don't want to do that. I don't want to.
Right.
I think you need the confidence though to know that one life leads to another.
Yeah.
And Christ said He promised us that if we believed in Him, we would not see death.
I totally believe that.
And I don't think you. I mean, what if that's so? Since that is so, though it's unknown, and I think it's healthy to be frightened of your own mortality. God put it in us to not want to die. None of us say, "Oh boy, I hope a bus hits me today." But
I bring this up all the time with people. It's like it actually points us to the fact that it's broken. Like you're not supposed to die.
Hey, good point.
Like if you go back to the garden, Adam wasn't going to die until after the fall. So like this idea that like this shouldn't be happening is the right feeling. That is the right reaction. It like points to the fact that
that's a great point.
It's broken.
Yeah, I like that.
See, you think our executive pastor is all about just executive operational things, but this young fellow's got something under his hat.
I've heard him before. Natrona Heights, we tolerate him, but
I'll tell you, Natrona Heights, Freeport campus, Natrona Heights campus, like I said, all our leaders, it produces all our leaders. I don't know how it does that, or not all of them, many of them, and so that is good. I was thinking about Adam today because I was reading in Romans this morning. I try to make sure I read the Bible first thing when I get up.
Me too.
You have me start doing that now.
You know what? Isn't your brain at its best then?
Mm-hmm.
Mine is, at least. And so even if it's just 5 minutes. So I was reading some Romans about how Adam sinned and led to the fall of everyone, and then Jesus died and it's led to the salvation of many. And even if you didn't sin in the form of Adam, and having grandchildren, I think of when my first child was born. I said to her, she couldn't understand me. She was, "Baby, you're my legacy. Here's my legacy." You start to think of legacy as you get older. At least I do. And I think I pray for my legacy. I pray for my children, my grandchildren. They're on the earth, and I'm gone. And how blessed I am to have the children I have. Mandy, Michael, Nick, and Sue Young. I consider her one of mine too. And sort of another guy named Tyler, but those four definitely are, I feel close enough to, and they're all walking with Christ. And then they have grandchildren, right? And then I thought, Adam has the best legacy of all. God let him procreate and have children. Every great man or woman, every good person that God has saved and made good is his grandchild. Yeah. God has blessed Adam more, and he gave birth to a bunch of sinners just like him, but he's blessed him more than anyone on the earth. And it occurred to me this morning. So there's a legacy. We are not the animals. Our brains are incredible.
Yeah.
Our ability to contemplate things is incredible. And the horror of death, Jesus takes that away. In Isaiah, it says he will take the veil that's been over mankind away. That's death, he means. So, but you have to have that confidence. And I guess there's a conversation you don't always think about. The older you get, the more you think about. I don't know if I think about it more or not. It doesn't matter. But I'm thinking about it these days. Well, you do, because my mom's gone. My stepdad, my dad, my stepmom, they're like my protective layer. They're the last generation between me and the Grim Reaper.
You think?
Right. If things go in order, if they're alive, I'm alive, right? Once the Grim Reaper takes them out, it's
next.
just me against him, protecting the children. It doesn't really work like that, but,
That's how you think about it.
It's how you think about it, because when you're a little kid, you think, oh, it's the old people who die, not me. And it puts everything in perspective, though. People matter, though. I think that's the heart. And I think that's the heart of you, Don. I think I hear a lot of good reports about you. You don't know it, but people speak well of how you reach out and love other people, how you've helped coordinate, let's say, good deeds for other people.
Care team.
I'm telling you, he's a logistics man. The Army had him wrong, and look what they did to him. You cannot trust the Army.
It's the Army.
Yeah, they're too dumb to put people in the right place.
And today, forget it.
Forget it. They do want the flower part now. They're like,
they do.
Oh, you're into flowers.
And they have it. Come on
Dawn,
in.
We'll make you a general.
I want to go into that, though.
A general girl.
That's right. If you want.
Because we never let our right hand know what our left hand's doing. But Dawn and Jim had the idea to come up with a care team. People need help. Natrona Heights, we have different age groups.
Yeah.
Some people have cars, don't have cars, can't get around, need to get to a doctor's appointment or go get groceries or whatever. So Dawn, in logistics fashion, offered to be the dispatcher.
I said I've done this before.
So you need care team help. Dawn's like the centralized operator that then distributes to find someone as available to meet the need.
Bottom line is everyone wants to know they matter to someone. Everyone wants to know they're important and loved.
And Dawn makes everybody feel that way.
Well, I think God calls us to be his hands and feet. And sometimes we need other people to do it for us. But as men, I think we always like it if we're the ones ministering to others. We like that. But it's not an unimportant thing. There's nothing more important you can do than caring for one person.
Well, you see me now. There's very little that I can help out physically. I can't mow a lawn.
First time I saw you at your house, I still have this vision of you. I went over to the house to talk to Tina, actually. And because I was the campus pastor there for a while, and Tina had a need, and I remember you riding on you have a John Deere? Do you have
Kubota?
Green? You have Kubota. You have orange like me. So he was riding his orange out there, and handling things outside.
Mowing the lawn.
So you can't do that anymore.
I did that yesterday.
But you got to ride.
I can't push.
You don't want to push.
No, I don't know of anybody pushing anymore.
Cruiser will do it for you. Give
Cruiser
enough
will?
money.
Aye.
Will do it for you.
Those young kids want too much money now. Anyway, so you can't help physically a lot anymore.
No, I can't do the physical stuff. So I said to Jim, I'll be a dispatcher, and all the stuff come into me and try to disperse it. That hasn't always happened that way, but a lot of it does. And we're going to try to meet now Sunday mornings, or after the service on Sunday, not Sunday morning. And Jim is going to take us through a devotional. He wants to do it for the care team because I guess it's something to do with care. And I think it's a great thing. Jim does so many things.
Shout out
He does.
to Jim Seiniger, by
Shout
the way.
out to Jim.
Yeah,
Awesome, another awesome dude that I would love to get on here someday.
Yes, I agree. I mean, he's just a wonderful person to everybody.
Yep.
And I try to follow his lead.
Well, and we do it together. By the way, if you know someone in the church you think, man, they'd be great on the podcast, let Will know, or put it on an email or a Connect card. It's our goal to get as many as possible. Again, we wish we could do this every day, but we have other things we're supposed to do, and Cruiser has other things he's supposed to do. But we do welcome others into this conversation. And as this hasn't been too hard, right?
No.
It's like there's no audience here. It's just
Yeah.
the four of us in a room.
Yeah, Cruiser's over there laughing at us.
Normally
You know,
he's
everything
mic'd up.
yeah.
Right now we could make fun of him and he can't talk back.
No, I think it's a great thing. I love it. I wait for the podcast to come out, and I try to listen to them in a quiet area.
And sends me encouragement often.
Well, you know what I like is it's a conversation. I talk to a lot of people who say, I listen to the podcast, and now I want to hear from them. But I think sometimes you don't get to hear, well, one, from the pastor guy. If even on Sunday, if you come say hello to me, it's boom, boom.
Yeah.
And some people want to save up their conversation for Sunday. That's the worst time. I can't even remember what I talked to you about on a Sunday. But here we are chatting, and that's really what we're shooting for. We do this for our church, not for worldwide fame. Although if we could spread the gospel worldwide from here, we'd do it. But they have a lot of other better choices. But
They don't.
Well, they have a lot of other choices, at least. So maybe they're not better, maybe they're bad. But we're here for you guys. So if you know of someone you think, man, I think that person, I'd love to hear their testimony or their story. Really, we'd love to entertain that. But for now, I think we need to wrap up. It's already, believe it or not, it feels like 5 minutes. It's been an hour and a half. Hour and 34 minutes is what our clock says. So we're going to wrap this up here. And Don, final words, or Will, final words?
Oh, Dawn, what do you got, buddy?
Well, thank you for the cup.
Oh, you're welcome.
I will be drinking my coffee out of that.
And it's a fine one, too.
It is a very fine
These are
one.
made in Minnesota, in America, and they guarantee these suckers. We went out of our way to find an American, not Chinese cup.
You
Yes.
could hit a burglar over the head with
You
that
can
thing.
kill somebody with that.
any piece of advice you'd have for, you're talking to a good portion of the congregation, young people, old people, middle-aged people, young Christians, old Christians.
Well, I would say the most important thing that you can do every day is get up, read your Bible, try to get on something with someone else if you can. That's where it's great with YouVersion. Men and women can set up on there and do a devotional or just talk, read the Bible, discover what's in there. Every time you read it, there's going to be something different. Mm-hmm. I don't care how many. That's something that I did with Pastor Michael. Also, is we went through the Bible from front to start, from start to finish, and did it a couple times in different ways. But every time you go through it, there's something more that you pick up.
Amen.
So I would say words of wisdom in mine, because I'm not too wisdomy, is read your Bible and stick to it and go to church on Sunday. Don't sit at home and listen to it on a TV. If you're able to get to church, go. Because there's people there that like to see you and like to talk to you.
That's right.
So you need to go. And when you go, talk to people. Don't just sit in your seat and not do anything. You need to get up and say hello, because those people will say hello back.
Yeah.
You just don't realize that. You think that they're stuffy or whatever else. The minute you say hello to them, you're going to get in a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So those are some of the things that I would say
Simple.
to do.
Hey, truly, Don, it is our honor to have you here.
Thank you.
And I am always feel very respectful for Vietnam vets. You should have been treated better by your country. I can't do anything about that. I understand politics now. I understand what was happening. Even those yo-yos were stirred up. They didn't know what they were doing either. But I definitely appreciate my like I said, my father, I admire very much, respect his patriotism very much and his service, and I respect yours. And it is an honor to serve you. It really is an honor to preach the word and know you're there listening.
I love hearing you.
So thank you for taking the time to come up here and with us. You didn't have to do that, and I appreciate it. And let's end this. We're gonna end this show with a prayer for Don. I think we don't normally end with a prayer. We end with a goodbye, but let's end with an amen. Father in heaven, we thank you for our brother Don and his friendship with Will. And I know though Don may or may not realize it, he's given another young man someone to copy. And God, if you tarry, you don't come back, and if you let things go in the natural order, one day Will be the oldest man in this room. And we just thank you for giving us the stories of your faithfulness to other men, how you have walked with them when they were paying attention to you and when they weren't. And we just love to hear your story of how you sent this captain. We pray for a blessing on him if he still lives and his family. Maybe even knew you. He had a heart to encourage a young soldier at a very important moment. We thank you for that. And we thank you for Tina. Man finds a wife, he finds what is good. And what a blessing it is to have a companion through all these years. And but Lord, we would look forward, not back. Forward to give you praise, but there's chapters not yet written in the story for Don, and we pray you put a blessing on him and his wife and their children, and cause him to continue to enjoy you all the days of his life. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you.
All right, folks, we're done. See you next time.
Bye.